Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Broker Tools. This is where we unpack the tools, systems, and strategies that help brokers optimize the way they work. I'm Katie, your host, and the conversation you're about to hear is with Charlie Vella from Vella Media. In this episode, we are talking paid ads, and more specifically, when paid ads actually make sense for a broker business, what is realistic for you, what your budget might look like, and why ads are not just set and forget. We also unpack the difference between Google Ads and Meta, how niche targeting changes the game, and what a good lead quality actually looks like. So, if you've been curious about whether to use paid ads in your broker business or what you need to have in place to have the right spending dollar, this episode is for you. But I will come in with a little caveat and say that before we jump into this episode, this is my very first attempt at making blog posts, not blog posts, podcasts official. So I will be stumbling in my words just like I did now and or having a nervous laugh. But I do hope you enjoy the episode. If you have feedback, feel free to share. Let's go in. Hi, it's Katie here from Broker Tools, and we have Charlie from Vella Media. In this conversation, we're actually going to talk through Google Ads, paid ads, and how it can work for your broker business. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love the name Broker Tools. What a great name.
Thank you. I end up going on rabbit holes because I love a good domain purchase, which I guess also feeds into this conversation because domain names matter and how you bring clients towards you. One of the things I guess I have found in my broker journey or helping other brokers automate their workflows that they're trying to actually understand a little bit more about how Google Ads particularly work. Are you able to kind of take us through what Google Ads is, how it helps people grow their business? Should they invest in it? I know I've just packed in a bunch of questions at once, but we can take it one by one.
I love it. Can I that's a great opener. Let's roll with this one. I really like it. All right. So in summary, right? So to set a bit of context here, I've been doing ads online now for about 15 years, which feels like way too long. And I've been doing this so long that when I first got online, there only was Google Ads. Like this Facebook and Meta stuff didn't actually exist. Now, my biggest regret in life, and I kid you not, this is my biggest regret, is that I was online in a time where you used to be able to buy the keyword, which I'll explain in a second, mortgage broker Melbourne, for 5 cents a click. Literally 5 cents a click. And at that point, I was running ads for brokers and they were making a killing. Now, for reference, if you wanted to buy that same click today, it's about $25. Right. So to break this down here, if you were going to go on to Google and type in mortgage broker Melbourne, a search results would come out. And Google AdWords is your ability to buy, like an advertising placement, to be the number one priority when that comes up. Right. That's what we're paying for here. And over time, the cost of those ads has gone up dramatically. So when I first got online, none of the major banks or anything like that were running ads. So the ability to buy that positioning for 5 cents was there. And today we're in a time when it's $25 because now all the banks and everything compete for it. But one of the things I really want to throw in as a caveat here is that I don't actually think that's the best opportunity for brokers today. So once upon a time, that was an excellent opportunity. Just like I can recognize in that time, I wish I took advantage of that opportunity for myself. But that's not where we're at today. But I actually think we're in a better time. So what's occurred and what we do a lot of today for brokers is actually meta advertising. So specifically Facebook and Instagram. And it is as juicy a time as when I first got on the internet to when it is today. Like we are generating thousands of mortgage leads in Australia at the moment. And I am looking at it going, maybe I should become a broker because it is that frothy at the moment.
Yeah, I was doing some market research recently, just about the industry as a whole and just the massiveness, like overall between mortgage, commercial and assets, it's a $3 trillion industry.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. That's just incredible.
Yeah. And so I guess this means that the opportunities that are available to brokers as a whole through whether they're doing paid ads by Meta or other means, it's just a market share. And now with ChatGPT soon offering ads within that, it's a whole new space.
It definitely is. So I'll express some more of what's happened because I want people to really see what I get to see, which I'm very fortunate here. All right. During COVID, there was a property boom where you couldn't go see your local broker anymore. So like a lot of brokers had this big change where they were doing things in an office or doing things face to face. And then all of a sudden everyone has gone online. Now that hasn't changed, right? So all these brokers that were now maybe serving a local area have gone, hang on, if I have really good processes and staff, I can actually service leads all over Australia.
Yeah.
And that change is one of the catalysts that's made meta advertising particular so lucrative now. Because you can, like I have some brokers who work from home that are servicing the entire country where that wouldn't have been possible for them before. Maybe they were getting referrals from an accountant or a financial planner, where now the market conditions have changed, where people are happy to do the remote thing. So I think that's been a big catalyst. I must also say, like even things like going to the doctor, I must admit I'll use an online appointment before I'll go to the doctor anymore because I don't want to wait. It's much easier to do from home, right? So market forces have become very, very interesting in that way. Right, so huge change from there. The second one I'll say that's also really fascinating in this when it comes to Meta and Instagram is they've just gotten so much better at targeting, like so much better. So some of the brokers I deal with in Australia, right, they're just doing, we'll call it investor leads, for example. So they just want to work with property investors. They've geared up their whole business to be really good at delivering for property investors, and they get after it. Or I've got another one that just does SMSF, like self-managed super funds, is their whole business and they're geared up for it. And with this opportunity, they can just market those types of things. So it's enabled a lot of broking businesses to become very streamlined, which I think you would be a fan of, Katie.
Always.
Yeah. Rather than trying to just, again, if you're working with a local accountant, maybe you don't know what they're going to send you, or a financial plan, like who knows? It's just very local based versus like niche based, which I think, again, is one of the incredible opportunities that comes from Meta these days.
Yeah. And being able to actually focus in on your target market, even build a target market, actually, that would probably be a great conversation in itself, is how do people begin to really notice their target market? Because then obviously when you do go out and build those ads.
Yeah, that's a great question. So in general, I would say one of the best things you can do is work with an agency like mine and actually see where the market demand is. I actually think it's a terrible idea to build a niche without actually seeing if there's a serving niche out there, right? And it's like the great thing about advertising as well is you can test these things. So give you a little nuance. I have a client who does first home buyers. And to be honest, it wasn't going that crash hot. And I'll tell you why. What would happen is we would get a lead for a first home buyer. They'd go through all the process and all the rest of it. Then they'd say something like, well, I need to speak to my parents about this. And they'd speak to their parents and, mum and dad would be like, no, we've got a different broker. You use them. So you'd actually like lose a lot of deals because parents or other people would get involved in the first home buyer market, right? Where the parent, you'll find, and I bet you if there's brokers listening to this, parents would refer kids quite commonly to brokers because, it's often the parent who's involved or contributing to a first home in that way. So put a little tweak on it. And we did first home buyers who are new arrivals to Australia. So this person's built an incredible business just off servicing the immigration that's coming to Australia, because that's become a really good segment where they need a heap of education. They're not used to the banking environment that Australia has versus maybe where they've come from. There's often not parents involved, stag and loans, right? And again, I'm not anti-parents helping. I really want to be pro it, but it's like for our brokers, I'm like, that's got to be frustrating, right? So we totally get that. So that little twist has made a market. So when you work with a team like mine, and I won't say that mine is the only one, there's definitely others out there, you want to be working with someone that can hunt out these lucrative markets. And then once you know you've got a lucrative market, then build the process so you can deliver well for them. We've got another client who they just does nurses, right? Like that's their specialty. Now I can't look, even though I work with a lot of brokers, I still got no idea how to actually get the money from the banks, right? That's on the brokers. They know how to do that stuff. But
Yeah.
from what I'm told, this is one of those spaces where it's like it's a bit nuanced. So just like working with self-employed people is very different than working with someone who's got a PAYG. So when you can build a business around a niche and an edge and a demand, like you can do very well in this game.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, where copy can work best, because you can then either use it for these niches, even refinancing and building out those processes that make sure that, I guess, you can acquire actually qualified leads who are ready to buy.
Completely. I will throw something in that as well, though, because I'm very lucky that like this year it's 2025 and we'll probably spend 50 million on ads, maybe a little bit more. So like this year I've tested 50 million online to see what works, and I've built templates and niches and all these things so that when we work with a client, we have such a head start on knowing how to craft things to be successful. That would be very hard for a broker to do on their own that doesn't have that experience. So I will throw in there that I think one of the things I'm seeing more of, which I would throw caution towards, is a lot of these platforms will have you convinced this is very easy to do. And it's like, this is something brokers should perhaps pursue themselves. Right? Where I actually think that if you're a great broker, you should double down on actually like the process of getting the money, the delivery, like document collection, client management, communication points, because if you can excel with that and team up with someone like me who's a specialist in the leads, like you can go far. But if you're trying to learn what I know and also compete against someone like me in the marketplace of ads, that's going to be very difficult versus where your time could be best spent.
Yeah. And I guess this is where the CPL, the cost per lead, the whole acquisition process, and the valuing of the lead will be, I guess, paramount to making your opportunities bigger, better, and maybe even brighter.
Oh, definitely.
I guess in that, how should a broker value someone like yourself coming in and doing this?
Yeah, great question. So I like to think about this. If you're working with a marketing agency, the game is whatever money you give them, they've got to create more than that back. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it. Like straight out. Like this is the idea. If you're going to give a marketing agency, I don't know, $10,000 a month, like you really want to be seeing that you're getting a return on that 10,000. Like this is an investment. This isn't a like sunk cost or a down payment. Like it's not like other things where you can really view insurance as a cost to a degree. We're not expecting a return on that money. We're actually paying it in the hope we never need it.
Yeah.
I find funny, right? It's interesting where it's very much the opposite in marketing. It's like, no, we're giving you money because we expect more back.
Completely.
Right? So that's the game you want to play. Now, rough numbers here. I know that if a broker writes about $1 million in loans, right? So let's say someone comes in, they buy a house for $1 million, 100% finance. That's worth about $6,800 to the mortgage broking business on front end payment. So the game for them is working out, okay, well, whatever we're spending on ads and marketing, we need to make sure that we're returning above that line so we can scale it and do more of it. And then if they're really clever, they want to make sure that they're getting their referrals and all the rest off those leads as well to, maximize benefit here. So they're the things I think about and look at when working with mortgage brokers.
Perfect. And I think, I guess how they can price it, how they can go through it, it will, it'll obviously vary greatly, but I guess this is what we were just talking about a moment ago, your time investment. You're actually better off spending the time closing the sale than doing the lead generation. And if someone like yourself comes in and does all the lead generation because of the background that you have and all the knowledge and the ability to also what I call probably fastly adapt, because if you see a campaign not working, you know how to either shut it down, turn it around, and move it forward.
Yeah, completely. And I don't want to sit in this camp that brokers shouldn't do marketing, because I think that many brokers are out there, whether it's, working on referrals or going to, many do networking groups like BNI, and that can be a fantastic thing to generate leads, right? Or you might have a buddy who's an accountant and you guys can, use that referral game to do well. That stuff as a broker, I actually think is very worth it. But the game of running ads, the time it will take you to get good enough at it so that you can compete well and get the return, just isn't justified in that same way. It really isn't, in my view anyway. I'm sure people will, some will argue with that or look at it, but I just don't think it's the best use of time. And I'd also suggest that if you're going to go down this path of doing ads, you're probably working on things like hiring team, right, and growing stuff. And I think that's a very good use of time, because one of the main benefits and why so many brokers work with us is they get to that stage where they've got one or two brokers working for them, maybe a couple of loan processes, and they go, I need consistency. I need to be able to bring in a certain amount of leads a week. Maybe their referral partnerships or their BNI meetings a bit lumpy, where sometimes they get some leads and sometimes they don't. And that's a very hard proposition for a broker to grow a business on. So that's where I become, I guess, more useful to someone in that type of scenario.
And yeah, and I can only imagine it, excuse me, from like what I call a lead funnel process. Because even if you just set up your website and put in things like a checklist, a home loan calculator, or asset guide, if people aren't even visiting those pages, that there's no real lead generation actually occurring in your business. They're just kind of placeholders, is what I would call them. Whereas I guess when someone works alongside someone like you could actually really build that into a process that actually builds, I guess, leads and more qualified ones who actually are targeted for that. Therefore, you know that the copy that you're writing, that the information is reaching the person. And I'm putting to my heart like it's a thing, but at the end of the day, this is what ad copy does, is because it actually reaches your heart. Actually, my heart's on the other side. I don't know why I was putting there, but you know what I mean.
Let's move it around today. That's completely fine. Well, I'll just go a little bit deeper there. Personally, I really don't like mortgage broking calculators or checklists around lead gen for brokers, because it says someone wants a calculator or a checklist. The brokers I work with want people who want to borrow money now. So if I went to them and said, hey, look, I've got 100 people here who've used your calculator, this is column A, or I've got 100 people who say they want to buy an investment property and need finance now, I know which list they want. It's not even close. So, we spoke a little bit about niches before, which I think is a really, point part. Like having a hungry market is one thing, but then the second part of it is what you're communicating with them and the offer you want to deliver to them, just as crucial, right? Really is just as crucial. So when we do it, like I want people that it's like they're ready to go. Like, and further to that, when I generate a lead, I'm not just getting like their name and email. Right, I'm getting, well, do you have a home already? Are you employed? Which bank are you with? Because I want the quality of that lead to be super, super high, because brokers, they're business owners, they're busy people. And if I was sending them unemployed leads that, don't have any assets, can't do anything in that regard, like this is a waste of everyone's time. Where if I'm filtering that stuff from the top and making sure their intent is to get money, right, because that's the game, that's what mortgage brokers sell, is money. Right, then we know we're much more standing to have a really, really good time, and the broker will be happy in that regard.
Yes, and I guess it also helps avoid any of the compliance issues that might come up through advertising, because you're focusing on a key point within their business.
Yeah, hasn't that become the spicy topic of the year, or even last few years? Is like there's definitely an ASIC involvement. Like ASIC, there's a lot of compliance around what brokers can and cannot say and do. Right, there's a lot of grey lines in that, and all the rest of it. I can't speak for that side of it. I don't know too much about ASIC. But in advertising regulations and being compliant on the platforms, I know a lot. So I think it's really important that you know what you can do there. Because if you're making, for example, unrealistic claims, like, I don't know, buy a house with a 0% deposit and we guarantee it'll go up by 10%. Like that's dangerous stuff. Like you shouldn't be saying things like that online. And if you are shown to be putting forth unrealistic expectations, you can get shut down for that. Right. Okay. So those sides of the game. But that's just what makes it interesting. At the end of the day, I think about it from here though, especially in Australia. Like I say the joke that it's like our national religion is property. Right, it's I literally went to my son's jiu-jitsu on Sunday, and I saw 3 of the parents watching YouTube videos of our clients on property at the jiu-jitsu. Like, it's just everywhere. Like, it is, like, it's there. And I look at it and go, people in Australia want to buy homes and they need mortgages. It's perfectly acceptable, if you're a good broker and you're going to provide a good service, to advertise to those people and help them. We're not doing a disservice. They want money, and you are the person that can help them get that money. Like, where all good advertising is aligning those things. Like, we're not trying to trick someone into getting a loan they shouldn't. That's bad karma. Like, that's just a bad idea. Where if you can serve someone really well and help them to a solution, you should be doing it. It's good for everyone.
Yeah. And fundamentally, I guess, what's good for you is hopefully good for the earth, and all that, I guess, comes in that whole orbit of growth. Because if you can educate using even paid ads, it means that people are going to be more attracted to wanting to work alongside you. Then you can build trust. And even if you start off with mortgage brokering, this is where you can go into asset and commercial, and or build those other referral networks alongside, which at the end of the day is what we're here to do, is optimize and grow.
Absolutely.
If someone was to utilize a service like yours, what should they consider from a budgeting point of view?
See, that's a great question, and I'll explain why. Right, is like advertising these days is really comes down to two components. Right, there's an agency fee, and then there's an ad spend. So I want you to imagine that you're going to pay an agency like mine to like make the ads and the landing pages and, you know, all the automations and stuff like that. And yeah, all that stuff, which we do. All right. And then on the other side of it is then we've got to pay, in this example, Meta, to go, hey, can you show this ad on Facebook or Instagram? So like in the ad world, there's like two components. Some places will blend it. But the thing I always want people to think about is like, if you pay an agency like mine, right? So let's just use really round numbers in this example here. So you're going to pay an agency like mine, let's just say $10,000, just because it's a round number. I'm not saying that's the fee, but I just maths on a podcast, right? Let's not make this complicated. Yeah. All right. So let's say you were going to send $10,000 on ads also. All right. So in that example, your ratio is 1 to 1. Mm-hmm. Now, what if you spent $20,000 on ads? Well, now your ratio is 2 to 1. So that's actually much more in your favor. So when it comes to working with an agency, the thing that you want to be really mindful of is understanding how the fees work so it can be efficient. Because let's say we'll reverse it and someone's going to spend $1,000 on ads and $10,000 on an agency. Well, there's no chance they're going to get a return. Right? Yeah. Where the other way around, like they've got a chance of making a great return because it becomes efficient in scale. So my suggestion and recommendation to people is overall between agency fee and ad spend, you probably want to budget about 10,000. That's about, and there'll be a mix of maybe half's on agency and half's on ad spend, but that's about the right starting point. Yeah, and then you want to work towards hiring some more brokers and processing team so that you can then scale that up to be like $20,000 on spend. And when you move in that game and beyond, and like I've got some clients now spending $100,000 on mortgage leads, that's when it's like it becomes more efficient, and efficient means better returns for the client. I'm not saying you don't get returns, back down here as well, but when you're growing a business, like scale's expensive, hiring people is expensive, recruiters, like it's all the stuff. So that is the path you go on there.
Yeah. And I was going to say, even with AI, like you and I actually had a separate conversation outside of this. We were talking about AI setters and, people who do like the lead calls via AI. But that doesn't actually do the better, I guess, qualification process. Like nothing beats a human in some of these respects. And
well, at this stage, that is my finding. And I have no buy-in on this, right? It's like, if it was the best solution, I'd do it. The only thing I care about is getting clients' results.
Yeah.
And it's not something I've had the greatest of success with, and I'll put in caveats yet. Because it may at some point, but right now, getting on the phone and having setters is definitely winning for us.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, that whole value, like as in, where do you want to actually allocate your time? How do you want to grow your business? What should you implement? When should you implement it? Actually, that is probably I guess a question to pose to you is, when on the broker journey should they implement something like this?
Right. So I wouldn't actually recommend like someone who's just doing it themselves start with ads. I think if you're a one-man band, for lack of a better term, and it's probably better to work on relationships and referrals and things like that, because that will be the most cost effective. Doesn't scale the best, but it's like, if you get a referral, you might have a commission you pay, but in general, it's going to be the cheapest form of marketing for you. Or if you're a member at a BNI, I don't know how much it costs to join BNI, but it's like, it's very low cost ways of doing marketing and really getting your business off the ground. Where ads becomes really interesting is when someone has kind of 2 brokers plus, right? Because that's when scale and consistency comes into it. So you can join BNI or have referrals, but they can't guarantee you, 50 leads a week. Where if you work with an ad agency, like, you've got such ability to control the flow of leads and have the consistency that it can give you the confidence to scale. Because where brokers particularly can be very hurt, let's say you hire 2 brokers, the lead flow doesn't come in, but you've got that cost, right? And you've also got, you only get paid when loans settled. Like, you can dig a hole fast with your cash flow, like very fast. So having enough work coming in to be confident in hiring and getting the consistency is where, in my opinion, ads is the best solution by far. So that's the way I would go about it from there, and when that becomes interesting.
Perfect. And if somebody wanted to, I guess, probably reach out to you or go down this pathway, where should they go and what should they do?
Sure. So on our website, valormedia.com, we have an ad review, I think it's called, or ad audit, one of the two. If someone was to fill out the details on that, then they'd get to book a call with me, and then we'd go through what advertising could look like for their business and if it's right for them. Now, I do frame it as a review because in general, people that come to us maybe are already running ads, and we look at their thing or look at their ads. But if they're not, then we just have a look at like what strategies could work for them in the current environment.
Perfect. Charlie, thank you for this amazing conversation. I really appreciate it. Again, if you are looking to, I guess, optimize your business, come visit us at Broker Tools. We will have all the details on how to reach out to Charlie there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, I hope you really enjoyed that conversation with myself and Charlie. I guess at the end of the day, when it comes to optimizing the way you work, if you are going down the paid ads route, I think the key thing overall to know is that it is an amplifier tool. So obviously you'd want your systems and processes in places, because lead follow-up is probably the key aspect of making this work for you. And honing down on a niche means that the opportunities are better and greater for you as well. So if you want to have an audit or talk to Charlie further, you can see him at valormedia.com. .com. I will probably put the link at the back of this for you, and so that you can directly go there, or come to brokertools.com.au and we will connect you. The next episode we are going to have is Anthony from FuseMate. He is a Go High Level specialist. So if you've been looking into using Go High Level or want to optimize the way you use Go High Level, you'll probably really enjoy that next episode. But again, coming back to the conversation with Charlie, I hope you got a lot of value out of it. If you have feedback for me, feel free to share. Otherwise, like, subscribe, do all the good things. And I look forward to continuing these conversations.